Your ladies and gentlemen, there's a sacred rhythm to life that operates beyond human understanding. Divine timing is the belief that everything unfolds according to a higher plan, orchestrated by God, not by human urgency or preference. When it comes to meeting your soulmate, divine timing becomes the cornerstone of the experience. It teaches us patience, trust, and surrender. You don't meet the right person just because you're ready. You meet them because it's time. God introduces you to your soulmate when your soul has been sufficiently prepared to recognize and receive that love. Before the moment of divine alignment, you're often led through seasons of solitude, healing, and self-discovery. These aren't delays, they are divine setups. You're not being punished by loneliness. You're being pruned, shaped, and refined. God removes what you think you want to give you what you need, and in that process, He builds your character, deepens your intuition, and fine-tunes your spirit to recognize your soulmate. Not with your eyes, but with your soul. When it's truly divine timing, things unfold with ease, not force. You don't have to chase, convince, or strive. You don't have to compromise your worth or beg for affection. Divine timing creates a sacred space where both individuals have evolved in ways that allow them to fully show up for each other. They have faced their own darkness, found their light, and returned to themselves whole. Only then does God connect two people in a way that feels unshakably right. Oftentimes, divine timing comes wrapped in disguise. It may not look like what you expected. Your soulmate may arrive after heartbreak, after disappointment, or during a chapter when you've completely surrendered your desire to control outcomes. That's how divine timing works. It humbles your ego and awakens your faith. It reminds you that God is not interested in matching your preferences, but in fulfilling His promises. You don't attract your soulmate through desperation or fear. You align with them when your spirit is at peace, and when you no longer need them to complete you, but instead recognize them as a reflection of your completeness. In divine timing, delays are protection. Breakups are redirections. Rejection is often God's way of clearing the path for someone who is aligned with your soul's calling. When you're in a rush, you often settle. But when you wait on God's timing, you're blessed with something far more profound: purpose-driven love. A love that doesn't confuse you, diminish, or hurt you, but elevates you. A love that reflects God's nature: patient, kind, steady, and strong. You'll know you've entered divine timing when you meet someone and there's no resistance in your spirit. There's a peace that surpasses understanding. Conversations feel natural, growth is mutual, and timing is no longer a barrier. It's a bridge. Things fall into place not because you made them, but because God ordained them. That's the difference between striving and aligning. Divine timing places you where you're meant to be, without burden of trying to control everything. Trusting divine timing means letting go of control and embracing faith. It means believing that God knows when your heart is ready and that He won't delay a good thing when the time is right. The waiting isn't wasted. It's sacred preparation. The more you trust, the more you realize that what's meant for you won't pass you by, and that God is never late. He's just aligning you with someone who's learning, growing, and being prepared to love you in a way that reflects His divine heart. In the end, divine timing is not about minutes and hours, but about the maturation of your spirit. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't just want love, but knows how to hold it with reverence. When that happens, God introduces you to your soulmate, not a moment too soon and never too late. A spiritual connection is one of the deepest, the most profound ways two people can relate to each other, and when God introduces you to your soulmate, this connection becomes unmistakable. It's not about surface-level attraction, common interests, or even emotional compatibility alone. It's something far more powerful, recognition at the soul level. It feels as though your spirit has known them long before your physical eyes ever met. There's an inner knowing, an unexplainable familiarity, and a divine sense of peace that surrounds your connection. When two people are spiritually connected, their bond goes beyond logic. Words are often not needed because the energy between them speaks louder. This isn't about intensity or drama. It's about alignment. A spiritual connection created by God brings stillness to your soul, not chaos. You feel safe, not because there are no challenges, but because the foundation is built on truth, faith, and divine purpose. This connection shows up in subtle but powerful ways. You may share the same values, dreams, and sense of calling. You may find that your paths, though once separate, were shaped by similar lessons, heartbreaks, and breakthroughs. It's not a coincidence. It's divine design. God has a way of using your journey to prepare you for someone whose soul is synchronized with your own. A spiritual connection also awakens parts of you that were once dormant. You begin to grow in ways you didn't know were possible. It feels like the two of you are mirrors, not of flaws, but of your higher selves. This person doesn't complete you, but they reflect the wholeness you've discovered through your relationship with God. That's how you know it's from Him, because it points you back to Him, not away. Sometimes this kind of connection doesn't come wrapped in perfection. It may challenge you, stretch you, and test your ego, but rather than breaking you, it builds you. Rather than confusing you, it clarifies you. A spiritual connection doesn't rely on external validation. Even when you're apart, you feel united in spirit, even when life brings turbulence. Your faith in the connection remains steady, because it's rooted in something greater than feelings. It's anchored in God's intention. God introduces you to your soulmate not just to enjoy romantic love, but to fulfill a spiritual purpose together. The relationship becomes a vessel for healing, transformation, and impact. You begin to see how your union can serve not only each other but the world around you. It inspires, uplifts, and multiplies light. That's the mark of a true spiritual connection. It glorifies God through love, not just emotion. When you encounter your soulmate through this divine lens, you don't need to force anything. The connection is not based on fear of losing or a need to possess. It's based on freedom, mutual respect, and an undeniable sense that you've been led to each other for a reason beyond yourselves. You begin to move as a team, spiritually attuned, led by faith, and guided by grace. You'll also notice spiritual synchronicities around this connection. It could be recurring dreams, repeated signs, divine confirmations through prayer, or even peace that settles over your heart when you ask God for clarity. These aren't just coincidences. They're His gentle nods, affirming what your soul already senses. Ultimately, a spiritual connection with your soulmate reminds you that real love begins in the soul. It cannot be fabricated or manipulated. It must be divinely revealed. And when it is, no storm can shake it, no doubt can erase it, and no distance can weaken it. Because what God joins together, no man can separate. The spiritual connection becomes the undeniable evidence that this person wasn't just found. They were sent. God's plan is a concept rooted in the understanding that every aspect of our lives unfolds with divine purpose and timing. When it comes to meeting your soulmate, it's not about chance or coincidence. It's about alignment with God's will. God's plan for introducing you to your soulmate is not rushed, chaotic, or built on fleeting emotion. It is intentional, deliberate, and perfectly timed. Often we try to control the process, searching, chasing, or forcing connections. But the truth is, what is meant for you is already written in the divine script. A trusting God's plan means releasing the need to control the how and the when. Many people beauty of this divine orchestration because they're busy searching with their eyes instead of listening with their hearts. God doesn't introduce you to your soulmate until you're ready. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You may think you're ready because of loneliness or desire, but God sees what your soul truly needs. His plan often involves a period of preparation, healing, and growth. You are not being denied love. You are being molded for a love that mirrors His divine love. In God's plan, timing is everything. Your paths may cross years before you're ready. Or perhaps your soulmate is walking their own journey of becoming. While you wait, it's not a passive experience. God uses that time to refine your character, strengthen your faith, and deepen your identity. Because your soulmate is not someone you need to complete you. They are someone who complements your wholeness. Only God can reveal that kind of partner, a person who is aligned with your purpose, not just your preference. When the time is right, the introduction feels different. There is a divine ease, not confusion. The relationship aligns with peace, not anxiety. There are confirmations, both inward and outward. You start to see that God was writing both your stories in parallel, shaping both of you through challenges, victories, and spiritual awakenings, so that when you finally meet, there's a sense of recognition. It's not just love, it's destiny. God's fingerprints are all over it. Sometimes, we meet people who seem right in the moment but are not part of God's long-term plan. These temporary connections serve a purpose: to teach, to awaken, to redirect. But when it's God's plan unfolding, the connection goes deeper. It will stretch your spirit, elevate your thinking, and draw you closer to Him. You will feel God's presence in the relationship. It becomes a partnership built on shared faith, mutual vision, and spiritual growth. It's also important to understand that God's plan doesn't mean the relationship will be without trials. Even divinely ordained unions will face storms. But the difference lies in how those storms are weathered. When God is the foundation, the relationship has resilience. It's not easily shaken because both individuals are anchored in something greater than themselves. They see the relationship as a calling, not just a comfort. Moreover, God's plan often includes signs and divine nudges. You may encounter repeated affirmations, verses, dreams, or inexplicable peace when you think of the person. These are God's ways of whispering confirmation to your spirit. He leads with clarity, not confusion. And when doubts arise, prayer brings answers, not always in the form we expect, but always with divine wisdom. Ultimately, trusting God's plan is about surrender. It's about believing that God cares more about your love life than you do, that He hasn't forgotten you, that He's already gone ahead orchestrating the meeting, aligning the timing and preparing hearts. When He introduces you to your soulmate, you'll know, not because it's perfect, but because it's purposed. You'll see His hand in every detail and realize it was worth the wait and the faith. Because what God authors, no one can undo. Faith and patience are essential qualities when it comes to how God introduces you to your soulmate. In a world where instant gratification is the norm and romantic ideals are often shaped by media and fleeting emotions, waiting on God's timing can feel like an uphill battle. But faith and patience are not signs of weakness. They are acts of deep spiritual maturity. They reflect your trust that God knows what's best for you and that He is working behind the scenes in ways you can't yet see. Faith is believing that your soulmate exists and that God has a divine plan for your union, even when there's no visible sign of it. It's trusting that He hears your prayers and sees your heart's desires. Faith is the quiet confidence that God is both the author and finisher of your story. It allows you to let go of desperation, anxiety, and the need to rush into relationships that are not aligned with His will. Faith grounds you when doubt creeps in and reminds you that God's timing is not delayed, it's divine. Patience, on the other hand, is the ability to endure the wait without growing bitter or losing hope. It is a spiritual discipline that strengthens your character. During seasons of waiting, God is often preparing you for the kind of love that can only flourish when two people are fully ready, emotionally, spiritually, and purposefully. You may not understand the delays, breaks, or the long silences, but patience allows you to remain open to God's greater wisdom. It teaches you to wait with expectancy, not with frustration. There's a reason God doesn't always reveal your soulmate immediately. Often, both individuals need to be refined before they can meet and sustain a meaningful, lasting connection. Faith helps you believe that this refining process is necessary. Patience helps you embrace it. You learn to focus on your own growth, healing from past wounds, discovering your purpose, and becoming the kind of person who can love deeply and selflessly. While you wait, you might face temptations to settle or accept relationships that feel almost right. But faith and patience whisper, wait. The right one is coming. They remind you that true love isn't built on urgency but on divine timing. When God brings your soulmate into your life, it won't require striving or confusion. The relationship will align with peace, clarity, and purpose. That's the fruit of waiting in faith and patience. These virtues also help you avoid idolizing the idea of a soulmate. Instead of becoming obsessed with finding the right person, you become focused on becoming the right person. Faith teaches you to trust God more than your feelings. Patience reminds you that your worth isn't defined by your relationship status, but by your relationship with God. When the moment finally comes, and you meet the person God has chosen for you, You'll look back and understand why it took time. You'll see how your faith carried you through seasons of loneliness and how patience kept your heart pure and hopeful. You'll recognize that the timing was perfect, not early, not late. The wait will make sense because the love will be rooted in something eternal. God honors those who trust Him completely. Faith and patience are the keys that unlock the door to His promises. They are not just about waiting for someone. They are about trusting the process, trusting yourself, and most importantly, trusting Him. When God introduces you to your soulmate, you will see that every prayer, every tear, and every moment of waiting had a purpose. And it will be clear that faith and patience were never about delay. They were about divine preparation. Soul recognition is a deeply spiritual experience that transcends logic and physical attraction. It's that unmistakable moment when you meet someone and feel as if your soul already knows them. This phenomenon often occurs when God introduces you to your soulmate. It goes beyond surface-level compatibility and speaks directly to the essence of who you are. You feel seen, understood, and connected in a way that defies explanation. There is a sense of familiarity, as if your hearts have been speaking the same language all along, even if your paths have just now crossed. This connection is not about infatuation or fantasy. It's about alignment. Soul recognition happens when your spirit resonates with someone else's presence. It feels like home, like a part of you that was missing has finally returned. This isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet certainty. A deep peace that confirms this person was meant to be in your life. It's a spiritual signal from God, a divine nudge letting you know that this relationship is sacred. When God is involved in your love story, He prepares both you and your soulmate for the moment of recognition. It's not something you force or fabricate. It's something you feel. Soul recognition doesn't mean everything will be easy or perfect. But it means there's a divine purpose behind the connection. It's as if your souls agreed to find each other before you were even born, and now that the time has come, the recognition is instant and powerful. This kind of connection often awakens a deeper sense of self. When you meet your soulmate, you may find yourself becoming more authentic, more courageous, and more open. Your true self begins to emerge because the connection is rooted in truth. Soul recognition inspires growth. It's not just about being with someone who makes you feel good. It's about being with someone who challenges you to become better. And that's how you know it's from God. It leads you back to Him, not away from Him. Another important aspect of soul recognition is timing. You may have crossed paths with this person before, but until both souls are ready, the connection won't activate. God orchestrates the perfect moment for this recognition to occur. You'll notice how everything seems to align. Your values, your goals, your energies. There's a divine ease, not because there's no work involved, but because the foundation is spiritual. That sense of, this is right, comes from God's confirmation in your spirit. Soul recognition is also marked by deep empathy. You can feel what the other person is feeling, often without words. There is a strong intuitive bond that allows for unspoken understanding. You know when they are in pain, when they're joyful, and when they need your presence. This emotional sensitivity doesn't drain you. It energizes you. Because the connection is mutual and divinely guided. You'll also notice that with soul recognition comes purpose. It's not just about romance. It's about what you are meant to build together. Whether it's a family, a mission, or simply living in love and service to others. God doesn't bring soulmates together without a reason. Your union becomes a vessel for something greater than yourselves. Ultimately, a soul recognition is God's way of confirming that He's been with you the entire time, preparing, guiding, and finally revealing. It's a spiritual unveiling of someone who mirrors the depth of your soul. It doesn't need convincing, it just is. And when it happens, you'll know. Because in that moment, your soul will whisper, "There you are," and everything will begin to make sense. Destined love is not a matter of chance. It is a divine orchestration that unfolds at the perfect time, in the perfect way, according to a higher plan. When God introduces you to your soulmate, it is never rushed, forced, or random. It is an encounter that carries the weight of purpose and the touch of eternity. Destined love is deeply spiritual. It doesn't just appeal to your emotions or intellect, it resonates with your soul. You feel an unexplainable pull toward the person, as if your spirits have known each other forever, and now the physical world is catching up with what has already been divinely written. In a world that glorifies instant gratification and surface-level attraction, destined love stands apart. It's slow-burning, intentional, and deeply rooted. It's the kind of love that waits, not because it's uncertain, but because it honors timing. When two souls are meant to be, God often keeps them apart until they are ready, not just emotionally but spiritually. Destined love requires healing, growth, and preparation. It teaches patience, faith, and surrender. It's not about finding someone who completes you, but someone who complements you. Someone who mirrors your inner truth and supports your divine journey. This type of love doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives quietly, like a gentle whisper to your heart. But its impact is undeniable. When you meet your soulmate through divine timing, everything starts to align. Your values, your purpose, your dreams. There's a spiritual flow to the relationship that doesn't require constant validation. You just know. You feel safe, seen, and supported. There's no performance, no pretending, just presence. One of the most profound markers of destined love is how it transforms you, not through force or control, but through inspiration and encouragement. This person doesn't rescue you or fix you. They remind you of who you are. They awaken parts of your soul you've kept hidden, and they love you through your evolution. God uses destined love not only to bless your heart, but also to refine your character. It's a love that challenges you to grow while holding space for your imperfections. Often, destined love is preceded by heartbreak, disappointment, and long periods of solitude. These are not punishments, they are preparations. Before God introduces you to your soulmate, He will teach you how to be whole within yourself. He will remove distractions, end toxic cycles, and open your eyes to your true worth. He'll make you strong enough to receive the kind of love that doesn't break you, but builds you. So when that person finally arrives, you'll recognize them, not just with your heart, but with your soul. Destined love also carries a sense of peace. Even in moments of conflict or confusion, there is an underlying trust that this connection is guided. It's not about perfection, but about partnership. You're not afraid to be vulnerable because you know the foundation is spiritual. This love doesn't compete. It collaborates. It doesn't restrict. It releases. You feel more like yourself with them, not less. That's how you know it's divine. And most importantly, destined love always brings you closer to God. It is never rooted in lust, obsession, or fear. Instead, it reflects God's love, patient, kind, forgiving, and enduring. This person becomes a spiritual companion, someone who walks beside you, not in front of or behind you. You pray together. You grow together. You dream together. Your union becomes a testimony to others of what it means to wait for something sacred. So if you're wondering how God introduces you to your soulmate, look for the signs of destined love. It may not be loud or flashy, but it will be real, lasting, and deeply felt. It will make sense, not just in your heart, but in your spirit. Because what God orders, no one can undo. And when He brings two souls together in destined love, nothing, no fear, no doubt, no distance, can keep them apart. Inner peace is often the first and most powerful sign that God is leading you toward your soulmate. It's a calm assurance that settles in your heart even before circumstances make sense. While many chase after signs, butterflies, or external confirmations, the most divine encounters are marked by an unmistakable stillness within. This inner peace isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet, grounding, and deeply spiritual. It is God's way of whispering to your soul that you are exactly where you need to be, and that the person in front of you may be part of His divine plan. When God introduces you to your soulmate, the relationship may not always be perfect, but your spirit will not be in chaos. You won't feel confused, anxious, or unsettled. There won't be games, mixed signals, or emotional instability. Instead, there will be clarity and calmness. You'll notice that even during moments of vulnerability or uncertainty, you are anchored in trust. That's the peace of God surpassing all understanding, gently confirming that what you are experiencing is not just an ordinary connection, but something sacred. Inner peace is the fruit of alignment. When your desires, your spirit, and God's timing are all in harmony, It tells you that the love you're walking into is not one you have to force, chase, or fix. It flows because it's fueled by truth and divinely orchestrated timing. God doesn't work through confusion or emotional chaos. He operates through order, confirmation, and peace. So if being with someone consistently brings you inner turmoil, it may not be from him. But if you feel yourself exhaling in their presence, resting in who you are, and sensing God's presence in the space between you, that's a powerful sign. Inner peace also reflects your readiness. Often, we meet the right person at the wrong time because we haven't yet healed or matured into the version of ourselves that can hold space for divine love. But when peace shows up, it often means you've a place of emotional and spiritual stability. You're no longer operating from desperation, fear, or ego. You're no longer trying to fill a void, you're whole, and wholeness attracts wholeness. When two people meet from a place of inner peace, the relationship becomes a sacred partnership rather than a codependent attachment. God's introductions are different from the world's. They come with discernment, not drama. His timing is precise and his methods are rooted in love, not manipulation. Inner peace acts as your internal compass, helping you recognize when something is divinely aligned versus emotionally driven. You may not hear a loud voice from heaven or see flashing signs, but your soul will know. You'll feel safe, not just physically or emotionally, but spiritually. Safe to be seen, safe to grow, safe to love. Moreover, when God brings your soulmate, your inner peace will expand. It won't just be about how you feel in the relationship, but how the relationship affects every area of your life. You'll notice more clarity in your purpose, more joy in your day-to-day, and more depth in your spiritual walk. That's because divine love is never isolated. It multiplies everything it touches. It enhances your relationship with God, with yourself, and with the world around you. Peace becomes the foundation, not the exception. So if you're wondering whether someone is truly meant for you, don't just ask if they check all the boxes. Ask yourself how your soul's in their presence. Do you feel anxious or at rest? Do you feel the need to prove your worth, or are you simply accepted? Are you striving or surrendering? The answers lie not in the noise of the world, but in the quiet sanctuary of your spirit. When God introduces you to your soulmate, inner peace becomes your confirmation. Trust it. Sometimes when you least expect it, life presents you with signs that seem to whisper truths only your soul understands. These subtle, divine cues often come in moments of stillness, through people, patterns, and intuition, nudging you towards someone who may be your soulmate. When God introduces you to your soulmate, it's rarely loud or dramatic. Instead, it's a series of spiritual breadcrumbs, signs from God that lead you toward a connection rooted in divine timing and purpose. One of the clearest signs from God is a deep inner knowing, a calm, unwavering peace that settles over you when you're with this person. This peace doesn't stem from excitement or infatuation, but from the kind of soul-level recognition that feels like home. There is no confusion, no overthinking, just a quiet certainty that this person aligns with your heart in a way no one else ever has. It feels as if your soul remembers theirs. Another common sign is synchronicity. You may repeatedly cross paths, run into them in unexpected places, or find that your lives mirror one another in uncanny ways. These patterns aren't coincidences. They are divine alignments. God orchestrates moments where your timelines overlap perfectly, bringing you together not a second too early or too late. This is the universe's way of saying, pay attention, this connection matters. Dreams are another profound channel through which God communicates. If you dream about someone vividly before you meet them, or feel a spiritual presence tied to them, it's a sign that the connection exists on a higher plane. Your subconscious, often more attuned to spiritual truths, can tap into this connection before your conscious mind fully understands it. Dreams can bring clarity, reassurance, and even glimpses of your future with this person. One of the most overlooked signs is how you grow around this person. When God introduces your soulmate, that relationship will inspire spiritual, emotional, and personal growth. Rather than losing yourself, you'll evolve. This person will reflect your strengths and lovingly challenge your weaknesses, not to break you, but to help you rise. Your soulmate will not complete you but complement you, encouraging a version of yourself that aligns more closely with your divine path. Another divine sign is peace in the midst of chaos. Even when life is difficult, being with this person brings you grounding. Their presence doesn't eliminate your problems, but they help you face them with strength and calm. They are a safe place emotionally and spiritually, even when the outside world feels overwhelming. This is no accident. It is divine alignment at work. Often, the introduction of your soulmate follows a period of inner transformation. You may notice a season of solitude, healing, or spiritual awakening that prepares you for this connection. God often isolates and refines us before revealing the people meant to walk with us. This sacred preparation is itself a sign, one that reveals that love is not random, but intentionally crafted by divine hands. Lastly, look at the fruit the connection bears. A God-ordained relationship is not based on fleeting attraction. It bears the fruit of patience, kindness, mutual respect, and unconditional support. If the relationship brings you closer to your faith, your purpose, and your higher self, it is likely a spiritual connection guided by divine will. In the end, signs from God are not always spectacular. They are quiet confirmations, soft whispers that only a tuned heart can hear. When God introduces your soulmate, it won't be about drama. It will be about divine order, alignment, peace, and the sacred recognition of love that was written long before either of you knew. Listen closely. Trust the signs. God always speaks to those who are ready to hear.